is a good friend of mine. He is chairman of the C-Suite Network, which is the largest executive networking association in the world with over 300,000 members and growing. He is former chief marketing officer of Kodak. He is a featured speaker, presenter. He's been on countless television programs, including The Celebrity Apprentice. And for the next 20 minutes, I can't think of anybody better to start off REVTalks 2019 talking about thinking big, acting bigger, the rewards, okay, of being relentless. Thank you. Jeffrey Hayzlett.
Thank you. In fact, Jeff was talking about being over in this place and this place, and I think the first time, Jeff, we met was either in Prague or Brussels or Nice. Cannes. All right, there we go. So the first time we did. And so he mentioned, let's get the Celebrity Apprentice thing out of the way. I was a judge on Celebrity Apprentice. He mentioned Trump, so let's just get that right out of the way as quick as possible. He's a friend of mine, all right, but he is batshit crazy. Let's just get, oh, come on, that's funny. I don't give a shit who you are right there. Yeah, you should get used to calling me ambassador very soon, so there we go. Oh, come on, that's funny as shit, too. That's like, we got to get going. Give me an amen. Amen. That's it, brothers and sisters. You just sound like a bunch of Baptists right there. Let's go. Or Lutherans. You sound like Lutherans. Lutherans live in constant fear that someplace, sometime, somewhere, someone's having a good time, okay? So the next time, let's pretend you're Baptist. Jeff talked about accountability. As he mentioned, I used to be the CMO of a Fortune 100 company. Ran the company revenue was $187 billion. My marketing budget was $17 billion. About 7,000 marketing people. Give you an idea. How's your marketing spend? You know, when you think about scale. Now I run an organization and sit on boards and do the stuff that we do at C-Suite TV. We have 60 TV shows, 139 business podcast shows on C-Suite Radio now. And I had a show on Bloomberg, a primetime show called The C-Suite with Jeffrey Hayzlett. And to get in to talk about accountability, one of the things I did on that show was I would take people into the C-Suite, where 99% of the people who work at the company never get to go, so that they could see what it was like when they made certain decisions, whatever those might be. Whether it was Cadillac deciding they're going to continue to be a luxury brand and they moved the operation from Detroit, which was a bankrupt city, in a bankrupt company, and relocate it to New York, and what was that discussion like? Or Dunkin' Donuts here in Boston, which was my very first show. And another show one day, I was watching television, and late at night on television came this commercial that said, "Our pizza tastes like cardboard." And I thought, who the hell would run a commercial that says basically, we suck? We suck, and we're going to redo our name, we're going to redo our recipes, and you should come and try us, because before you told us that we taste like cardboard. Does anybody remember that commercial? How many of you? Remember what company it was? Shout it out. Dominos. So I called Dominos. I called the CEO and the CMO. I said, I want to come out. I want to understand what this is like. I want to understand what the conversation was like in the C-suite. Who the hell came up with that idea? Imagine you were sitting in the C-suite, and this is what happens, and all the officers are sitting around, and they're talking about how freaking good they are, and everybody's talking about what a great quarter we're having, or this, or we missed this, and here's the excuse for that, or whatever it might be. And then finally the CMO raises his hand and said, nope, we suck. I got the data right here. The data says all of our customers says we taste like cardboard. We should change our name because we sell more than pizza now. We sell more chicken than we do pizza. And on top of it, you know, our recipes suck so bad, we should retool the entire recipe. We should bring in world-class chefs from all over the world and like redo it and actually put real cheese on the frickin' pizza. And we should do this and we should do that. And let me see if I have this right, Mr. Chairman. You agreed with him, and not only you agreed with him, you spent $10 million to do the retooling of the pizza and to retool the name, and then you spent $80 million in an advertising campaign to tell people that you sucked, and you still have your job. He said, yeah. I said, you changed the brand promise to the company. He goes, no, I didn't. I said, yes, you did. He goes, no, I didn't. I said, look, it's my show. Yes, you did. Right? I didn't think about it. What was the brand promise? A promise delivered, that's a brand. Used to be something we always put on occasionally on a horse and always on a cow, but eventually has become a promise delivered. They changed the brand promise of the company. For Domino's, it used to be that they cared more about getting you the box than what was in the box. Think about it. What was their brand promise? 30 minutes or it's free. Exactly. I mean, how many of us have ordered from Domino's? Come on, seriously, raise your hands. All right, for those of you who aren't making eye contact with me right now, I know you're lying, okay? You did. And what was the first thing after we made the phone call to Domino's and we hung up the phone? What was the very first thing we did? We looked at our watch. Or we looked at our phone hoping that they would be late, right? So we would get a free shitty pizza. Basically, that's what the brand promise was, right? And they retooled. They changed it. And the response was phenomenal. They literally almost ran out of pepperoni, all right? They changed the brand promise. They say, no, we're going to deliver something different, a different experience. We're no longer going to do this in 30 minutes free. We're going to give you a decent product. We're going to do it as close to on time as we possibly can. And they were transparent. The brand was transparent. They decided to be accountable on their own. What's been the result? Their stock went from 76 cents to $109. It's the largest single increase of any stock in North America because they were transparent, they were accountable, and they told the truth. Simple things in the ways that we do it. Telling the story, as Jeff said, but to be transparent in its delivery because in the end, brands are going to be found out. And they're doing it again. They're doing it with a phone. I don't have my phone here, but they have a new app. Have you seen the commercials? The commercials are, they have you call in. The guy's answering the phone. He says, no, I can't hear you. We'll screw it up. We can't even speak English. You should just use our app. I mean, think about it. The app, the phone. The phone is the most personal device in the history of the world. It used to be your car. And now it's your phone. Think about it. If you lost your phone or your children in the mall at the same time, which one would you go looking for first? Woman over there goes, if I find my phone, I can call the kids, right? So now they do it with an app and say, if you put pepperoni on it and you didn't want it, you made the mistake. And what's it doing? Customer orders are up. But more importantly, the most brilliant thing in the world is it takes $1.15 out of the cost of delivery. On a $6.99 pizza, think about the margins that are dropped to the bottom line. All by being transparent. More so than transparent, I use the word radically transparent. That brands need to start to not just tell the story or believe the story, but to really live the story. I used to be the CMO of Eastman Kodak. And I was at a conference last week, and I haven't been a CMO of Eastman Kodak in 10 years. And when I arrived there in 2006, they used to tell me that we were the most visited website in all of business. That over 4 million people came a day just to view the picture of the day. I was at a conference last week, heard an official from Kodak say that their picture of the day gets over 4 million views a day. The exact same figure, the exact same story that I heard almost 13 years ago. Brands have to look at getting out of their stories and into being transparent and being accountable. I'm helping to lead that as well with the C-Suite Network. We picked up a group last year called the Hero Club. in changing the way that we start to look at the narrative of who we are and what we are. Back in 1998, by the guy by the name of Rob Ryan, sold his company for $20.4 billion. When he sold his company, he set aside a percentage for every single employee, making the single largest number of millionaires ever created in one day. That's never been surpassed. Biggest single tech transaction after that was 17 years later, in 2016 when Microsoft bought LinkedIn. All these employees would run up to Rob or his wife, Terry. Terry was chief legal officer, and say, Mr. Ryan, you don't know me, but I'm the janitor. And I can send my kids to college. You're my hero. Or to Terry and say, Terry, you don't know me, but I'm the night watchman, and my mother-in-law doesn't have health insurance, and she's got cancer, and now I can pay for the operation. You're my hero. Well, they didn't think much about that other than the fact that they didn't think they were heroes. They just wanted to change the narrative of the way that people did business. So they started what they called the Hero Club. And about 2 years ago, he saw what we were doing with the C-Suite Network, and Rob Ryan, a billionaire, came up to me at the Rocky Mountain Economic Summit, stuck his finger in my chest like that. He said, give me $1. And I thought, what the fuck does a billionaire need $1 for? But, sorry my language, but I'm from South Dakota. That's the way we speak. I get bleeped on my own TV shows and red dots on all my podcasts, but there you go. So I pulled out $1 thinking he needed a soda or a pop or something like that. And he said, you just bought the Hero Club. Change the way the narrative is being done, Jeff. Tell the stories. But more importantly, live the stories and be transparent about who you are. Turn it back over to Jeff. Thank you very much for having me.